Hey, gun people. There's like 2 or 3 gun-related cop articles that are kind of in the news, and I wanted to kind of look over them. Whoever runs this site, concealednation.org. I mean, if they did an okay article on this, but it appears to have some errors in it, so I question the credibility on where they got their information. So this is a incident where in Florida, a school resource officer under investigation in a hallway. The officer seems surprised. Everyone else, deputies, SRO. SRO is a school resource officer. Normally females or people that don't want to work the streets get those jobs. Leaned against the wall when his holstered duty-issued firearm accidentally discharged into the wall behind him. Now, they put this on the news, and they were interviewing people, and there were idiots for gun control saying, see, if we got trained cops' guns going off, why do we want to let teachers and civilians carry guns? They're using government incompetence as a way to say that civilians shouldn't have guns. It just kills me when they get these idiots and they interviewing them. But anyway, I digress. The gun fired directly into the wall. No students were in danger. It was a SIG. Go figure. I'm not a SIG fan. I know all the SIG boys will be here. Oh, it's a good gun. Why are you always cracking? Hey, man, I can't help it. Talk to the SEALs. They're the one that dumped their SIGs for a Glock. Ooh. Anyway, so the SIG 9mm, the weapons are not carried in a safety mechanism per se. I don't know who this lieutenant is, but most guns that are striker fire do have internal safeties. And him saying it's not a safety mechanism, I'm not sure if he's talking about the holster or what. They are carried ready to use. Weapons are fully locked or loaded, armed, and round is chambered in case of emergent situation. I don't know if that's supposed to be emergency or if he's saying emergent as a new word or something. Ferguson SRO was in a lunch line. He said the students they aren't certain about what happened to cause a firearm discharge, but we're keeping an eye on the story. Well, some people in the comments were saying, I don't know if the comments were here. Let's see. 17,000 children injured in school bus accidents. Why no nationwide to get rid of school buses? I agree. That guy's right. This guy says striker firearm model, it was a P3220 as opposed to hammer fire, and he's kind of using this. Remember, confirmation bias. Everybody wants what they believe, so they're going to distort facts to support their position. So he's saying because it was a striker fire, it went off, and he said just another reason to carry a hammer-fired semi. So he's probably a 1911 hammer-fire guy, doesn't like Glock, doesn't like any striker fire, doesn't like Glock, so he found a way to justify this. My thing is, most guns don't go off if it's in a holster, if you're just leaning there. My guess is he was doing something like this. But who knows? Accidents happen, and I know there's some people say there's no such thing as an accidental discharge. They're all negligent. Well, all right, whatever. I mean, if you've been around as long as I have, there's sometimes that shit just happens, and you can call it negligent, but whatever. So another article is this officer, this police department in Illinois somewhere, Laud. I don't know if I'm saying that city right. Ladue. A teen, I don't know if she was a teen, a woman who was larger than a police officer, black, was shoplifting, ran. She had one handcuff on her. She broke away, was still fighting. She yelled, I'm going to tase her, pulled out her taser, which happened to be her real gun and not her taser, and shot the shoplifter. And now, I believe the black DA is charging her because she shot somebody when she shouldn't have. And then I just heard from somebody that lives in Illinois that she now just resigned. And I think the reason that she resigned is if she has a union or an attorney, they probably told her, look, they're going after you criminally. If you cooperate in the internal investigation, they are going to use that against you in the criminal. So don't cooperate. And as a cop, if you refuse to cooperate with an internal, they usually fire you. So the out to that is usually you just resign. And that way you don't have to cooperate with the IA. So I think that's why she ended up quitting. Again, quota hires, hiring people that aren't ready. Women depend 100% on their taser. They don't go hands-on. They can't go hands-on. They're not as strong as everybody wants you to believe. They can't do the job as well as everybody wants you to believe. So she ended up shooting this person. A person got shot. The city's going to be sued. She lost her job. Her life's over. Why? Because we have to hire people of certain sex and certain color in order to fill certain quotas to show that diversity is our strength, when it just isn't. So another accidental gun shoot. Now this third one here is kind of interesting because this says, according to AP, after discovering a critical flaw in a gun, DPS is quietly replacing guns issued to all troopers. When I saw that, I was like, really? You're getting rid of all your guns? What the hell happened? Well, so this 20-year expert veteran of the Arizona Department of Public Safety, anytime I see DPS, it's Highway Patrol, same as CHP, all that crap, I already know I'm dealing with usually incompetent quota hires, government hires, low standards, work for the state, chase license plates, write tickets. So to me, I just write some of this off as just like, well, when you hire, junk in, you get junk out. So this veteran who's a firearms instructor and he's a weapons expert, he lifted his bag off his shoulder, heard a boom, smelled gunpowder. And his first thought was a gun in a bag had gone off. Why are you carrying guns in a bag? I mean, if I put a gun in a bag, it's in a holster. And it's not going to go off. But so he first thought it was one of the guns in the bag, which means he had multiple guns in a bag, which to me isn't the best way to carry a gun. But again, I don't know whether this is a firearms bag, whether they Velcroed. I don't know what kind of bag, but whatever. He then looked down, realized his pistol had gone off in his holster, shooting himself in the right leg. And I got a copy of the actual report. The gun was an FNS-9. I don't know what that is, if that's an FN or what. Purchase DPS for use in his officers. Part of the firearms. This guy was part of the firearms training unit. This is one of those great, government trained people who have all this training, and shit happens. Either his gun went off because he caught it and he pulled it. His holster wasn't done. Sometimes a gun will get pulled out and then fall back in and go off if it gets caught on a holster. If you got a bunch of things hanging off a bag and you're carrying and your trigger guard's not. So there's just 1,000 ways that this can happen. The more you deal, when you carry a gun every day, the odds are you're going to have an accidental discharge before somebody that's scared of guns and has never held a gun, never been around a gun, doesn't have a gun at the house, never carried a gun. That's just common sense. The person who carries a gun every day is more likely to have an issue, okay? Somebody that flies a lot is more likely to be involved in a crash than somebody who never gets on a plane. Well, Rick, how can that be? Because we're all equal. Ask because you're an idiot. All right, so more than 3 years later, the firearms training unit would discover issues with the FNS pistol. Has a standard sidearm, and they would fire unexpectedly or not fire at all. Damn, they just trashed this gun. If an agency dumps your gun because it's going off by itself, first of all, most guns don't go off, and then it doesn't shoot when you pull the trigger, I'd say that's probably issues. Let's see, in physical year, spent $281,000 to buy new pistols. So they just spent $281,000 tax dollars to get these great pistols that, guess what? They shoot by themselves and they don't shoot when you pull the trigger. Damn, I'm glad we got government out there spending our tax dollars so efficiently. Let's see, it's unknown what prompted the testing. A tap and rack and slide up and down, sharp drawing, even unholstering can cause a weapon to fire or contact with the trigger. Damn, man, your gun's going up. Maybe you need a different holster. Maybe you got... Shoot. You know what? I just look at this and go, you know what? You're probably trained like CHP and you're blaming a gun. Kind of like all my people who blame horses for all their problems because they don't know how to work a damn horse. But I digress. Let's take a look at this report they did on this. So this damn report is like, I don't know how many pages, but I know the file is like 41 megabytes. And a lot of it is redundancy, repeating the same crap. So this is how they spent. I bet they spent freaking $10,000 on this investigation. But anyway, challenges arise, contact, fees. This is the letter requesting a FOIA request. This is what they're charging: $25 per hour, 25 cents a page. I think they end up wanting like $3,000 for this report. I think at the end it shows they wanted $3,000 if you want a copy of this report. And evidently somebody paid for it. So here's the case report. Here's all the agents. This is the guy. This is the detective. Graduation, Arizona. So they go into his hero shade on what he did. On so-and-so, an attire consisting of a tan polo shirt. Ooh, cargo pants and a polo shirt. Man, he was tactical cool. Was wearing a black instructor belt. Ooh, he had a black instructor belt. Attached to his right side was a Safariland holster. Ooh. So in a holster was his personal owned FN 40 caliber serial number. Everybody go calling that serial number is stolen, and then when he tries to get his gun, it'd be like, hey man, this gun's stolen. I'm just kidding. Don't be out there breaking law. Inserted handgun, fully loaded magazine, 16 spear cartridges. I'm not a big fan of spear cartridges. I'm kind of surprised the guy's carrying spear cartridges, but spear may be good. Somebody may like them. Let's see. There are one cartridge chamber, so it was 16 and 1, 17. According to records, he went through all these armor instructor courses. Narrative on Wednesday, 800. Special units arrived at home. Walked inside his residence. He was attempting to take his range bag off his right shoulder and shot in his right leg. Was dispatched. Austin briefed. He applied a tourniquet to his leg. At the end of this report, they say the tourniquet may have saved his life, and he just went through first aid, so they really give a bonus and push more first aid training because it saved this officer's life. Never let a crisis go to where you can't justify more money. So this report's going to justify more money for first aid because you buy freaking guns for $280,000 that don't freaking work. So, you would think government would be held accountable. No. Government's going to get more money now to buy better first aid and more first aid training because that's how government works. It's just freaking crazy. I don't understand how people don't call this shit out. All right. Transported via ground by ambulance. Burnett moved his firearm but was suspected. 16 rounds. There was one in the chamber, a spent cartridge. Believed it possibly got possible key may have become wedged in the trigger guard of the holster, causing the gun to unintentionally charge. See, when you have somebody that shoots himself and no one else is around, it's kind of like when you have a gunfight and one guy is dead and one guy's alive. The guy who's alive, his story kind of holds more weight than the guy who's dead. So when a guy shoots himself in the leg and there's nobody around, his story kind of holds weight because there's nobody around to challenge it. So he came up with all these great things. You notice a gouge mark on the underside of the holster hood where the firearm discharged. The gouge mark was probably from the slide ejecting back as it fired, which would be consistent if there was a gouge that he had his, sometimes they call it a bucket. What do they call it here? The little round plastic thing that closes. Notice marks on the underside of the hood. He called it a hood. Let's see. On Thursday, probably 700, briefed while it was in a holster. Vasky asked, piece of foam was found in the holster, at which time explained it was a spacer for the holster's tension screw. Identical holster, she noticed the foam spacer was intact and documented. So now we're saying maybe it was a holster's fault because the foam spacer went in there. Maybe he took the spacer out. Maybe he had it too tight. Maybe he had it too loose. Maybe he adjusted it. Maybe he didn't check his equipment and it just wore out after a while. How old was the holster? Was it new? Was it half wear? I mean, there was some questions I had in this, but regardless, they're not going to find a guy did anything wrong. So they go through all this freaking stuff about, I mean, look how long this report. This is a dude that shot himself in the leg, and this report is like just crazy long, and list after list, tackle bag, gunshot wound to the leg, transport to the hospital. They just repeat. Every new officer and new report has the same information repeated. And I mean, I tried to read it and I got tired of reading the same thing. Here's critical incident number, relevant specific, prior to recorded interview, Varkin signed a DPS notice of investigation, was hired, he was a general instructor, firearms instructor, certified armorer. On the date of the incident, he was wearing his black instructor belt. We go through the same thing. I mean, how many people got to write the same damn report in order? I mean, if you write the same report 15 times, does it carry more weight? Is it 15 times more believable? Here's his work schedule. Highway patrol. Oh, I knew I'd see highway patrol somewhere. Incompetence. I mean, that just ought to be a synonym of incompetence. Is highway patrol. Here's his training report. Look how long his training report is. Are you kidding me? 16 pages of training reports? Okay, we get it. He had training. It's not his fault. Can't be his fault because he has training. Everybody's like, officers need more training. You know how much time and effort for all this training goes in to cops? And you still got the guy shooting himself in the leg? Rick, it wasn't his fault. Why are you picking? I'm just saying. Good grief. Everybody's always looking at me because I'm picking on the cops. All right, what do we got here? Case report. I responded to a residence. Incidental shooting. I robbed. Hobbs was on scene. I met him at the front by a woman who was later identified as W. I don't know if that's a witness or a wife. It would depend on what they're using. Oh, the victim's wife. So maybe that, I would think is witness, but who knows? I don't know. She let me in the house, directed me to her husband. Officer Hobbs immediately confirmed subject had applied his own tourniquet. He explained to me that the weapon had gone off while it was still on a holster in his hip. Of course it did. What do you think he's going to say? Well, I was practicing my draw and I shot myself in the leg. No! But, Rick, you can't say that. I just said it. Just relax. Nobody was there. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Let's see. He was in the living room while Fire was treating her husband. She identified her husband and me as Rick. A DPS officer told me that Rick had gotten home, had gone over to the cubby where he keeps all his gear, started to put it away, heard a loud bang. She did not know what it was. It was a freaking gunshot. What? All right. Then she heard Rick say he had been shot. Violent explained that this is his routine day to come home, unload his gear, weapons and bag in the cubby by the bathroom. She said he then goes upstairs to change clothes, comes down, did not know how the gun went off. She had been in the kitchen with her 12-year-old son. Let's see. Ambulance took Rick. Rick told me he got home. Okay, here we go. Rick said he'd been taken home medical personnel. So this, I guess, is the responding police officer's report. The bullet did not penetrate the boot. I thought it might have bounced off a bit of the leather boot. I moved all the items in the hallway. Rick stores his equipment. I moved back to the backpack. Detective Helms impounded several items. Did he impound it or did he book it as evidence or impounded? I usually use impound for vehicle. Maybe they use impound for seasoned property or something. Rick's boot, holster, ammunition, empty shell, and fired bullet. Then cleared. Alright, what do we got here? Bunch of blank pages. I was dispatched. Who's this guy? Another guy? Good grief. If you want to pause this and read it, you can. In his hip, placed on the table, dresser. Rick expressed an interest in going to his wife, his phone. I saw he had appeared to be a smartwatch on his left hand. It appeared to me he wanted to leave it at the residence, so I removed it. I then replaced the active shooter bag in my vehicle. Assisted in the investigation. Rick was in good spirits, was being treated for a gunshot wound, while appeared not to struck a major blood vessel, but there was a possible fracture. Request for medical staff. I activated my BWC. What's a BWC? Somebody put that in a comment. Rick was administered medication for him. Loopy. Yeah, he was losing blood. His heart rate was up. That's why he's loopy. He got a shot of adrenaline when he got shot, and now the adrenaline's wearing off. But I'm just guessing. I know there's somebody out there. Rick, you don't know what you're talking about. That guy was a trained Glock armor or whatever. Approved personnel purchased prior firearms. So evidently this is when he bought his firearm. He got it approved through the agency. Public Safety Firearms Manual. If you want to read their firearms manual, this is their firearms manual, I guess. Primary guns, secondary guns, shotgun, bolt rifles, turn-in, judgment, shooting, evaluation, qualification, remedial, secondary firearms, ammunition, handguns, procedural block firearms, training and responsibility. Wow. Introduction to this training manual. Everybody's like, oh man, what's one little policy? Okay, well, here's their training manual with all this crap, which is why it's probably freaking... And I'll go ahead and upload this to the my website, and I'll put a link in the description for somebody that wants to review it, because it's freaking long. And I thought there was, what they got going over the targets they shoot, or man, you talk about, I would expect there to be dead people for as in depth as this report is. Holster, gun, what is this? Department of Public Safety. Ooh, nice watermark. Wow, those highway patrol guys always have cool stuff. They can't do shit right, but they always got cool stuff. Alright. Again, I'll upload this. Hell, what time is it? I have 21 minutes. Alright, so you can be your own judge on whether or not it was an accident, whether it was intentional, whether or not the highway patrol's a freaking incompetent organization. They spent $280,000 on a freaking gun that goes off for no reason. Or the other agency, I got all of them mixed up now. But anyway, I thought there was 3 gun incidents that kind of seemed like they were all close together and dealing with mistakes or no mistakes. All right, we'll end that there.